Hi, this is Badador, and today we're going to be talking about the ground pin and how to use it in our patches. Just like before, I'll be using these two yellow and red cables to show you anything like in the scope. So if there's something, if there's CV going somewhere, I will try to show you using these cables in the scope and VCV rack. So let's just get right into it. Okay, now the first way that we're going to use the ground pin is to use it to mute the trigs which we have given it to the looper. So let's start. First off, let me connect the LRSD pin to the 0.5 pin from the clock divider, which essentially makes the looper 2 bars long instead of being 4 bars long. Now, let's record a pattern, very random one. Okay, now all I have to do is, okay, let me pause it for a second. We can connect the ground pin to either the clock pin or the trig pin. Sometimes it's pulsar, sometimes it works on the trig, sometimes it works on the CLK, and I will show you what I mean. Sometimes it works, but let's just go. So it's playing. I will connect it to the ground pin. Now I'll just connect it to this. As you see, essentially mutes it. Now let's use it on this one. So I'm going to use another one. And here is this. You see, it's almost muting it, but it's not doing it fully. Now, if I connect it to the CLK, it mutes it. Sometimes there's this constant gate thing, sometimes it doesn't. But you have to give it a try. So this is one way of using it. I'm going to mute them on their own. Okay, now, so let's just trick the modules using the SHAOS. So one thing we're going to do is I'm going to use these smaller cables that I have made to patch them to these gate to trick pins. From there, I'm going to use these cables. Let's just use this for the kick. Okay, now, so we can simply try it like this. Use the ground. If you connect it to the mod, we can stop this, but we have to do it. Let me. See, it's holding on to the last gate, and sometimes it runs again, but if you put it on time, it's gonna stop. One way I like to use it is to patch the ground to the switch one. Let me use a bigger one. Okay. And for the CV, I will use these pins so that I can trigger it with my own hands. I'm going out to the CV and I'm going to use, let's use this one from the output to the mod pin. Now we're going to have to wet our fingers. See, as long as I put my hand on it, this is one way of using it. It's a great way, I think, for using it in performances. it's a great way. So if you're performing, you want to momentarily mute the tricks. This is how you can do it. Or we can simply just now let's just go from here, just like before. Mute the tricks. One thing I have to say though, one thing I realized is that this will not work. You see, as we are, you see, it mutes it when I put it to the mod, right? But if we are getting the clock from, let's say, the 16th pin, and we're connecting to the clock, if I do it, it won't work. See, so it only works, but it only works if the SHAOS is using its own clock, internal clock. If it's using it from somewhere else, it won't work. But we can still mute it like this. So you can mute any trick like this. Or my favorite, using the switch and this one. Okay, so another way that we can use the ground pin is using it simultaneously with the 10 volts. And it works when we put the pin onto the 16 in the center, on the SHAOS module, on the center on 16. And then we can receive data. You can send data from the ground pin and 10 volt to get new patterns. So let's just listen to this pattern that is already playing. Okay, what I'm gonna do is just gonna connect it to the data pin. Now I'm gonna switch between touching these two. So we can just get new patterns using the data pin, using the ground pin and the 10 volt. But you already know we can just simply switch to the left, to the right, and you capture a new loop. But this one is also one way of using it to get new patterns out of the SHAOS module. Okay, so I found another way of using the ground pin from looking at one of Khat-e's patches, T-A-E-T. And I think it's a very clever way. Let me show you how it's done. So for this one, I will just use the 3-bit pin to trigger the bass. I wanted the sound not to go off, to stay on. If I use a gate, it will just be on and off. I want it to be on all the time. Okay, this is what we're hearing. Let's add a little bit of reverb. Now I'm gonna increase the Q resonance on the filter. Okay, let's just connect the ground pin to the external. I think what it's doing is that we are muting anything that is going on. I'm not sure, but what I'm speculating is that it's muting the internal sound, and we're only listening to the filter's resonance. That's why it becomes so cool. Now I came up with this idea. I think it's pretty cool. Let me just show you one way that we can make this into an interesting way of sound design. So let's just sync the clock divider with the SHAOS module, and here now that they're in sync, And we'll use the 1-bar pin to the CV, ground to the input, and just like before, so cool. Let's use this. So cool. Okay, so the last word that we're going to use the ground pin is using it with one of the capacitors, which is something that I talked about in my previous video. And by doing this, we essentially create a filter, but with a fixed cutoff frequency. So let's just see how it goes. First of all, I'm going to be using the noise pin because there's like a lot of frequency and it's easier to see and hear, of course. So let's just see and hear how it sounds like. All right, now I'm going to connect the noise to the 0.1. I believe it's millifarads, not microfarads, but okay. So to the 0.1 millifarads and the other end of the capacitor to the filter, to the ground, I'm sorry. And let's just see how it sounds and looks. So I'm going to have to go from the same noise pin and connect it to the mix in. So let's see how it sounds without the capacitor, without the ground pin to the capacitor. Right, as you can see, it's a very gentle slope. Now let's try the other one. So as you can see, it's a much bigger frequency cutoff. And the the cool thing is that you can use a capacitor of your own. So I just have this, I think it was 100 or 10 nanofarads, I'm not sure, but let's just try it out again. One end to the ground and the other one to the source. Yes, it's a little bit, it's something in between these two, I believe. Okay, so thanks for watching. I hope you find this video useful and you gain some new knowledge about this one. There's, as you can see in this video, I was using these cables that I made myself. These are probes, which I find them to be very helpful, and they come in like two ends of them are using these probes, or the other ones, which are like this. One end is a regular alligator clip, and the other end is these ones, which both of them are super useful for me. Especially if I'm, let's just say, I don't know. For example, I'm taking this pin out of here, and it's much easier to use another alligator clip, but with these ones, they just go right in very easily. And sometimes you can connect like multiple one of them, not just one. As you can see, very handy. And I've also made these smaller cables. They also come in like 5 colors. They're pretty short. I think they're perfect for this situation right here. Yeah, because I hate it when they're like, you don't need to use like this. Sometimes I run out of the small cables, and doing something like this, it just drives me crazy. Too much excessive cables, I usually do it like this, but I found this one to be a useful way. So that's it. I will put a link to this at the bottom of the page, in the caption, so you can check them out. And that's it. Have a nice day. Bye bye.